Hey guys, welcome back. I'm glad you're here today. Got another fun one today. Try and make the video a little short. I don't know, it'll probably end up being longer than I want. Try not to talk too much as well, but gonna do some Mosaic pattern Damascus. Gonna try and make a star pattern that repeats all the way down the billet. Don't really have any knife builds in the works right at the moment, but it's always good to have some nice pattern Damascus laying around ready to go for the next order. Anyways, I'm going to bring you guys along, kind of show you the steps that I'm going to take. Did this kind of somewhat off camera previously, and a new little technique that I'd heard about but didn't quite grasp how to do it. Kind of figured it out and it worked fantastically. So hopefully this one's going to work out just as well. But you guys stay tuned. We'll get this going. So this is going to be our billet of the Mosaic Damascus. These larger pieces here are 3/16 1095. The ones you can see that kind of have the funky surface finish on this edge here, that's the 15 and 20. So I've got three, there's an 1/8 inch 1095 there as well. So three large 1095, intermixed 15 and 20, a couple of big bands, two bands of the 15 and 20, another large 1095, two intermixed, another large one, and then a really large strip of the 15 and 20. And so what I'm hoping to get out of this is a really nice kind of a star pattern. We'll see how it all turns out, but kind of mixing it up. Almost always go alternating, at least I have, but we're going to play around and see what we can get. Kind of forge this down into about an inch square bar. However long we get, we'll probably get close to 20 plus inches, and we'll cut it into 4 lengths, alternate and manipulate the pattern from there, and be on our way. I'm hoping it's going to be a really cool billet. Alright, so the forge is lit. It's getting nice and toasty. About ready to throw that billet in there, and then we'll take it over to the press and start forge welding this thing together. Start drawing it out, and then we'll get us a nice solid billet and start cleaning it up. This monster billet, I just counted it up, 32 layers total. We're going to throw it in the forge, get it up to about a cherry red, then throw a little bit of flux on it, just some borax, and just let it soak for a while. When it gets good and ready, we'll take it over to the press. billet we made up. Today's the next day. Got it cut in half now, and what I'm going to do is put this on my surface grinder attachment and grind all the scale off of it. And we're going to cut these in two as well, and then stack it into a rectangular cube for it's welded together. Before doing that, I will etch the ends and line the pattern up the way that I want it to show up. Right now it's not etched, but it'll get there, and I'll show you when we get there. So this is my new surface grinder attachment that I just finished building. If you like it, you got this kind of belt sander. You can see in the video, I'll put it up there building that one. DC Knives design or whatever. Very quick, simple, works great. Redbeard Ops is a channel that I saw. He has a real good how-to video on building this, but it's simply back and forth like this. I can adjust the in and out until I get all the scale off there, get a nice clean billet, and flip it around. Do that a couple times, then do the other one, and it's good to go. Works super fast. I'm really happy, really excited about using it. So we'll get going on it now. Alright, so we've got these cleaned up. I did a 320 grid on the belt just to get all the bandsaw marks out of it, and we're just going to do a real quick test etch, kind of see how our pattern looks, and then restack according to that. Again, I want to try to get stars or something of that sort, so we'll take a look there. It's just some water and baking soda in there just to neutralize that, and then we'll pull them out and have a peek. Etch the other side. I fully suspect that there's going to be some pretty stark differences on two ends of it, just because they're the last two ends of the billet, and all the steel kind of moves a little differently on the ends than it does in the middles. So Hopefully you can see that pattern. It's very faint just because I don't etch it very long, but we will. I think it looks pretty nice. Let's see what we got on these other ones. So we'll stack these, and I'll just kind of figure out the way that I want it to look. I'm gonna go ahead and etch these other ends, and then we'll stack this together. And again, I think you're here to see after the end result, but I'm just kind of showing you each process along the way. Mosaic is, in my opinion, the more difficult patterns to make. Just because we're talking about the end grain and not this. This is easy to flatten out into a knife shape or whatever we want. Getting that pattern, or the pattern that we want on this face, is the difficult part. So I'm going to etch that up, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, it's all welded up, ready to go into the forge. Forge has been sitting over there getting warm, so won't take very long at all. I've got this restacked again in 4s. You might be able to see the pattern there. Just disregard the numbers. I was playing around and numbered them, but I liked another orientation better. I'm going to weld this together, throw it in the forge, and then from there we're going to do our mosaic. But it kind of gives you an idea of how much time it takes to do mosaic, kind of manipulating the pattern and all that. Been working on this for a few days now, a few hours each day. But get that tack welded together and then we'll throw it in the forge again. Alright guys, so we are ready. Here's our billet. We got it all sanded down, cleaned up, and so now we're ready to start cutting the tiles. So making mosaic, the pattern is inside here in this direction. So this piece of wood here is representing the billet that we have, and so we could cut it into squares, stack those up, try and forge weld them together and all that. It works. I've done it a few times. It's really tricky, kind of tough. That is a billet, or that is a knife from where I did the tiles, just the squares. It works, but this way is much better. So here it is. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this on 45-degree angles all the way down. And when we do that, then we're able to stack them just like this and forge weld it that way. And there's enough surface area and overlap there that you have enough pressure to really get a good tight forge weld. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tack, all these joints together with the TIG welder, filler rod. Once I get it kind of just initially set in the forge and pressed down for the kind of twice probably, I'm going to come in with a grinder and grind all that out, and then we're just ready to draw our bar out and have our billet ready to forge into a knife or to do whatever. But it took me a long time to understand the ferry flip, so to speak, but that is, I wish it could have been explained that way a while back, and I think I would have understood it a lot better. But this here is kind of the same representation of a rectangular bar, and it does the same. We have the same setup that way. So we're gonna mark this out. I'm gonna do every 3/4 of an inch. It's gonna be about 12 cuts, give or take. But once I get all those done, bring it back over here, lay it out, show you guys, and then we'll tack weld it together, throw it in the forge, and get our billet completely done. Alright, so I've got all those tiles cut up now, got it stacked Just like that. This is our pattern. It's going to repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. What I'm going to do now is weld this up and flip it over, do the same thing. I'll use filler rod. Just make sure not getting in too deep. Once we get our first initial forge weld, maybe 2 initial forge welds, we'll come in with a grinder and grind out all of that filler rod from the welder, and then continue on the process, but only a couple more steps to go. Alright, so I've got it welded up now. The forge is hot. We're going to go throw it in there and get our forge weld on. Okay, it is ground to a rough 120 grit, which will be enough to see the etch. I'm going to do a test etch now. 1, because I really want to see the pattern. 2, I want to make sure that I don't have any of that, the welds in there, which I think I might have gotten most of them out, but we're going to give it a quick etch and see. So just wiping it down with some acetone right quick just to get all the fingerprints and such off, and then we'll give it a dip. Here we go. I'm just going to let that sit in there for, I don't know, 5-6 minutes, and then we'll pull it out, see how we look. Alright guys, here we are. Here is our Mosaic pattern billet. I'm going to call this campfire, because kind of, to me, those kind of look like little campfires or candlelight, whatever. Very unique looking pattern. Turned out pretty well. I'm happy with it. Any kind of Damascus pattern really kind of looks pretty good. This is another one I kind of did for the most part off camera, but you know, another interesting pattern there. This is really thin, but I can make several pocket knives out of that. That's a little weld where I didn't get all of that filler rod out of it, and I've got a couple spots on this one as well. You see that kind of right there. Really kind of, that's the only one I noticed on that side. On this side I got a couple more. There's one there, but that is Mosaic pattern with the fairy flip technique. Works quite well. It took me a while to kind of understand. I'd seen people do it, but until I kind of tried it by cutting these pieces of wood to kind of demonstrate it for me, it didn't quite make sense, but works really well. Makes it a whole lot easier than just stacking individual blocks together and trying to get those welded together. Again, I've done that on a few. This knife is an example of that. Kind of see, get the glare off of there a little bit. Maybe not, but that one was done as blocks, square blocks. So multiple ways of getting it done, but the certainly like this ferry flip option a lot better. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up and a like, and please leave me some comments down below if you got any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Thanks, guys.